Actors and actresses, what is filming a sex scene like? What's a nice niche to fit? I was shooting a short non-explicit sex scene for a short film while being so freaking sick. I had to take breaks from shooting a film to go shot diarrhea out of my futile weak body. Thankfully everyone was professional about it. The shooting itself was quite interesting. I was laying on my back. The other person sitting on me, both of us pants on. Camera operator standing above us. So there were 3 layers of people on the bed. We were grinding under the sheets only when it was necessary. For a couple of seconds. Maybe 3 times. Then we were shooting details of our hands locking into one another. Our faces. Running fingers through hair and so. The voiceover was the most fun part. We had a blast syncing our RS and oh goddess with the footage. I was in a theater show where I had to sit next to a girl and feel her boob. The second I read it in the script I started feeling anxious about it. When I was talking to the actress about the scene she seemed totally cool with everything, so for the whole 2-week run of the show she got her boob groped every day and twice on Wednesdays and Sundays. My first time kissing on stage, on rehearsal, I missed the colleague's face. Every day I pray to forget that moment. Amateur actor. Have done exactly one of these. It was very awkward and quite cold. But it was a very small production. So I wasn't pressured into anything I wasn't comfortable with. Theater actor here. So a bit of a different perspective. The show that I was rehearsing for before the pandemic featured intimate moments. Albeit not full-on sex scenes. And we had an intimacy coordinator. On one hand, they act like a fight choreographer. Mapping out the moves so that way they are the same every time. No one drops any surprises on their partner. On the other, they act as sort reps or liaisons for the actors. They will discuss with the director what their vision is for the scene and try to replicate that while maintaining their actors' boundaries. So before any physical work starts, they lead conversations between partners about what their no-goes are and what is okay. They will also help establish a tap-in between partners, which is a little shared gesture, like a high five or handshake, between actors that indicates that what they are about to be doing is work and separate from them as people. Former actor and now director here. It's only as awkward as the people involved are. Typically everyone is professional, mature, and understands that this is the behavior their character would engage in. So they want to portray it as best as they can. Most approach it very professionally. As a director I get rid of all non-essential people on set. But make sure that there are enough around that it doesn't feel creepily empty. Anybody who I feel would make it weird isn't allowed. Communication is key. I always let the actors set their own boundaries. I describe my ideal scenario. Then let the actors agree to it or offer a compromise. I let them know that at any point they can change their mind. There are tons of little skin-colored pasties, adhesive panty strips, and cock socks for the actors to wear. Sometimes people get turned on. It's only natural. And in that case we takes breaks to chill out and then resume later. TLDR. It's only awkward if the people involved are. As long as you and the other person are acting professionally. It's just work really. Funny story. I had to get a BJ during scene in a live show. The show was site specific and took place in and around 3 scaffolds built inside the space. So the audience could stand basically anywhere to watch the scenes unfold. During the final scene of the first half, I climb up one of the scaffolding and the scene goes on. Pay the women and get the deed done, not a bother in the world. During the interval I check my phone and I have a text from my mate. I don't know what was funnier. Your face while getting your DCK sucked or your nanny and Ma's faces looking up at you. Couldn't look my nanny in the face when the show was over. I'm an amateur actor, but legit enough to have an IMDb page I didn't set up myself. Have done sex scenes. They are incredibly awkward and a tiny bit SI. One time, the director was just off camera, reading out instructions line by line, which felt incredibly strange. Like having a parent with you in the bedroom. A parent who had written a script for you and your girlfriend to follow, but didn't trust the two of you could get it done without live instructions. Another time, the dude the actress was dating placed himself in my eye line, so that I locked eyes with him every time I kissed her. Had to tell him to go stand somewhere else. Other than that, it's like every other scene. Hopefully you trust your director and can forget about the cameras for a moment. I was reading this and suddenly remembered I had done this for a short film in college. It was literally the least erotic thing ever. There were at least 5 other people in the room. Lights, sound, camera, director, the girl's roommates etc. And you are just trying to remember what you are supposed to do while acting naturally. Super awkward. This wasn't a sex scene as much as an implied sex scene. From what I understand, there's usually an intimacy choreographer to make sure all goes well. Kinda like a fight choreographer, but ideally no one gets punched or thrown from a train. Edit. Non-consensually punched. Most major films today use an intimacy coordinator to help direct these scenes. They discuss boundaries with the actors and plan out the action beforehand so everyone is comfortable and knows what to expect. Theater actor here. All I know is that there is a special intimacy training you have to take. If you get paired up with a person that may or may not like, you cannot express a non-professional gesture, like saying yes. Also, you have to protect yourself from directors. Not saying directors are malice, but they tend to overstep what is comfortable for an actor. Oh, and you need 24 or 48 notice prior to performing an intimate act. My cousin's first every stage performance, he had to kiss the main leading girl and then slap her on the ass and then leave the house. He kissed her and then slapped her on the ass as scripted, and she farted and both of their personal mics picked it up and amplified it through the whole theater. Actor here. Stage and film. There's a certain awkwardness to get over with your partner at first, but an intimacy coach can help create a process that is safe and comfortable for all involved. The actual scenes themselves depend on what content is involved. I've done scenes with an A shirt on and under sheets where it was actually a bit of a challenge because you have to make it look like you're having sex, so there's a lot more accentuating of movements to make it look realistic. I've not needed to do the super intense fully naked sex scenes, but camera angles help regardless of how clothed you are. Ultimately, I'm a trained professional and it's just another scene, so I figure out what needs to happen and do it while seeming authentic. I'd imagine it's like the scene from Love Actually. Those two are hilarious in the sex scenes. Always cracks me up how nervous he is asking her out when she's on her knees in front of him. This is not a sex scene, but when I was at university I was in a show that called for me to be topless. Major plot point. Except a kid on the run crew was a minor, so they legally couldn't. There were entire rehearsals and multiple costume fittings trying to figure out a way to rig a backless and strapless bra and how to position me on a quarter thrust stage so it was invisible and I was believably topless. I ended up with this weird flesh colored silicone harness thing, and my scene partner, who was supposed to be incredibly turned on by my stripping, said he could barely keep a straight face because it looked so ridiculous. Another time I was brutally upped on stage and one of my scene partners got a huge boner one night, which was the most uncomfortable thing I have ever experienced. Funhouse actually talked about this recently in a podcast. Imagine how awkward it would be to hardly know someone, hold their hand while walking down the street and trying to remember your lines. I'll take all that. Expect you're mostly naked, in a small room, sweaty, and then there are 20 people watching you. And in Keanu Reeves' case, the woman is the director's wife. What are the chances that someone in the comments is a big Hollywood star? In my experience, not very awesome. Unfortunately, I had to perform a pay scene, which as you can imagine was very uncomfortable. It's very rehearsed, but coming out of it is very disturbing. I found myself regularly asking the actor I was working with if she was okay because the subject matter was so grotesque. A lot of actors state how they want to stay in character as long as possible on set. But in this case, you can't wash the scene off fast enough. I'm an actor. Recently starting work. Haven't done a sex scene though. From what I've heard it's OFC awkward, but both actors focus on being professional to get the scene done. Depending on who you're acting with, it can be a funny experience. Especially if your co-star is also a friend. It's easier, I guess. In the end, it's up to the director to make the actors comfortable. I heard a story that one director made all the crew on set take their clothes off to make the actors feel comfortable. Acting is weird. I can't find it now, but I read an interview with Jennifer Connelly who talked about choreography in sex scenes and how important it was. She also said her worst experience was on Mulholland Falls, as the director gave no direction and told her and John Malkovich to just do what they wanted. Not NSFW at all. But I was in a show where I had to kiss another actress. Nothing fancy. But it was supposed to be this romantic gesture where I tilted her back and had this moment. At first the actress was cool with it. We practiced it a few times in rehearsals and it went well. One day, about a week prior to the show, she pulled me aside. Come to find out, her boyfriend at the time was not comfortable with this much kissing. She was a close friend of mine, but there were no romantic feelings. Something he had a hard time believing. So out of respect, he tried to alter the scene. We ended up using hand placement on my face and part of my shoulder to hide our lips and give the illusion of kissing. And really just rubbed noses together while I counted to 3 and broke apart. It ended up being a huge hit and the audience had no idea. Even our director wasn't convinced we weren't kissing. The actress's boyfriend was quite pleased though. Brad Pitt here. I personally like filming sex scenes because I'm very attractive and usually the actress is very attractive as well. Make sure you buy my new movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on Blu-ray. Just a couple of overpaid, beautiful people dry humping while Gail from Craft Services is watching from behind the director. A lot of actors/actresses have affairs during the production. Did any couple ever say, whatever, let's just have sex for real? We are doing it in our trailers anyway. I would assume awkward as duck. Cameras on you, a group of people watching you. Your performance is being openly judged. They probably are dating people, so have to deal with jealousy. You could be not attracted to them at all and have to kiss, touch and probably straddle them would be fairly cringe inducing. Knowing millions of people will see it, including your family friends. One of the cameramen is masturbating. The other day I had sex and was acting the whole time. She never knew. A better question is, why do these stupid scenes still exist in movies? Does anyone enjoy them? They're always weird and awkward to watch, as well as the thought of how weird and awkward they must be to film. They seem so pointless or gratuitous usually. Occasionally, or rather rarely, do they even add to the story. Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Me neither. Because sex sells. I'm sure they both get turned on. Or one does. And then it's awkward. It's been years and years, but I remember an actress being interviewed about this topic and she said the male actor came to her dressing room before they shot the scene and he just said to her, "Sorry if I do and I'm sorry if I don't." Probably the best way to sum it up. Roger Moore reportedly told actresses, "I want to apologize if I get an erection. Or if I don't." Dear Edit. Any SISXs here that want to share their super cool simulated SISX stories? Pretty much. At least this one is a little more interesting to read. I was in a play at school where in one of the dances I had to slide my hand down a girl's hips. And down her leg. The girl was pretty shy. And would always go to the bathroom after rehearsals so no one would see her red face. Some guys in our class made jokes about it in front of her but were jealous of me. The girl was the only 10 in our class and several guys had crushes on her, including me. So win-win. I'm not an actor but I play one on TV. Waiting for an actor/actress to respond.